Oh, I meant to do the 30-second countdown, but I forgot. But anyways, all right, whatever. We're just live now. What's up?
Let's go.
Whoops, I didn't mean to send it from your account. We can filibuster for 30 seconds just to let people trickle in. But yeah, I posted the sheet. I meant to post it just for mine, but it doesn't really matter for the live stream bets. I got to say, I forgot to do a recap last week, so I did it this morning. Not our best week in the world, which just means that we only have up to go. I mean, I know for me personally, last week for NFL was, in terms of units lost, the worst week I had. So nowhere to go up from there. It wasn't terrible. It was like down 5, but never fun.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Now that we gave people 30 seconds to trickle in, Josh, how you doing?
Good, man. Trying to get myself situated here too as we get going. But feeling good, man. I was happy last week that I hit Anthony Richardson because I was waffling over that and the touchdown with him and Jonathan Taylor. But it was fine. I was fine last week. I'll be honest. Like I ended up okay, but we could do better this year. Let's get it going.
Yeah, I think I hit all the columns. I mean, it is what it is. It was, I mean, a lot of it was just a bad week. What are you gonna do? It happens. Down 5 units isn't terrible anyways. But anyways, all right. So first game, I mean, we're just starting with a great game. Chiefs Panthers. I didn't have anything that I locked in this one. I was sequestered or requested to get your thoughts on 2 nasty boy props.
Oh boy.
From the Hawk himself.
Oh boy.
Carson Steele, which I think was 11.5. Now it's 10.5. And Jonathan Brooks. So did you have any thoughts on either of those?
2 of the young guys coming in. I don't know what I would have thoughts on yet with Jay Brooks too much. So no, I actually considered Kareem Hunt for a touchdown because it's like kind of like a last week for him. It was last supper almost in a way. Like,
yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to go completely by the wayside when Pacheco comes back, but like, yeah, get your usage out of him now. Like he's not going to be getting 16 to 20 touches anymore. So that would be where I would go. I'm interested in understanding what the Carson Steele look would be about. I guess because it's a blowout. So like, it's like the Peyton Pritchard bet of the NFL or something.
Basically, yeah. I think it's just like the Chiefs are going to be up by 1 million and they'll just come in and give Steele some run to end the game. I think that's really what it is. It's just blowout.
Yeah.
And then
and fine. And I mean, you could say that too about the sort of like, let's get Kareem Hunt a little bit of rest, but like he doesn't need too much rest anymore. That's the only thing that kind of scares me from that. But
yeah, you're ready. Like I know a lot of people are on his rush attempts. Like I see, we got a sports scientist in here. It's probably self-proclaimed one, but a lot of people. Everywhere. Yeah, I'll probably on his or a lot of people are on his rush attempts. I'm guessing just because like, hey, might as well give the guy 1 million carries because they're getting Pacheco back probably next week. Yeah, I mean the Hunt I think is a solid parlay piece if you want his touchdown, but like I'm not playing minus 150 straight up.
Yeah, precisely.
The Jonathan Brooks, or sorry, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say like Steele has been out there for like 15% of drives since week 3.
Since he fumbled, basically.
Right. And he's had like basically 3 carries a game in that time frame. I'm not saying he can't get 12 yards on 3 carries. Is that what I want to bank on? It's not a bad play at all. There's other things I already have my money on, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. And the Jay Brooks angle is just like, it's so low. It's 14.5.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bet it. I'm not going to talk. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt. I was going to say, I will bring one look that I thought was awesome. I didn't hit it. My buddy hit it. And I was looking at it, but it's Xavier Worthy over 1.5 rushing yards.
Okay.
So the thought process with Xavier Worthy, if you look at him, is if he gets a rush, he gets a yard. So the thought there was they lost, obviously, their first game. Not like they need to like panic, but if you want to mix things up, coming out of a bye, Andy Reid, blah, 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 like, or at least coming up with extra time anyway, then like this is a situation where he'd be trying something like a wide receiver rush. So that was an interesting look, but he's got to get the one attempt, and he's gotten one in all but like 3 games. So when he gets it, he goes. But so it's still a nice hit rate. I thought that was an interesting look, but that would be the only thing I would even really consider in this game, I guess. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's solid. I mean, last week they definitely made it a point to get him involved, whether it was like through the air, through the ground. It was like that one drive specifically where he had like, I forget exactly the exact numbers, but I know we had a lot of production on one drive specifically.
Right.
Another play that, again, I didn't bet. So this probably isn't even worth it. But it's the tight end, the young guy for the Panthers, Jatavian Sanders. Just because the Chiefs defense is weak at guarding the tight end, and he's like a young guy, maybe that gets more run the second half of the year. I saw someone in the comments, didn't even call him by name. That kind of tells you everything you need to know.
Panthers tight end.
Yeah, Panthers tight end. But I mean, with Thielen back, it's probably, again, I didn't bet it, so it's probably worthless for people, but we can move on.
Yeah.
All right. Vikings Bears. Did you have anything in this one?
Vikings Bears, and my notes just canceled on me. Just give me 1 second.
You're good.
Oh yeah, I love Hawk.
Hawk,
I do like Hockenson this one. I gave Hockenson out. I played him at 36.5 yards receiving. I don't think Jay Jets is going to get completely shut down, but I mean, he's going to get the toughest matchup. That's for sure. Jalen Johnson's got to be a top 3 cornerback in the league. So I got him at -1. What did I get him? -115 on DraftKings was the best number for 36.5. Yep, and it's still there. So yeah, for Hawk, I mean, this is a team that's the Bears defense obviously incredible against the pass, but not against the tight end. Giving up the 10 most yards to the tight end. That's really what you have to focus on. Not very much involvement against the Titans when they were positive game script winning the whole time. Not the best blocking tight end, so you don't really need him in there. They ran the ball more than they had in 90% of games this season for them, all but one. 33 rush attempts for them in that game. So I mean, the Vikes want to run for sure when they're up big, but at the same time, like, this is a dude I think coming in against a team that it's division game. I don't see a blowout nearly as much in this one. The Bears offense is also a little bit more it's a little bit less explosive even than it was under Shane Waldron at this point. Like, it does seem like they're going a little bit slower, a little bit shorter yardage. Their offensive line's not good enough to give Caleb Williams the time that they were trying to. Point being that, like, I don't think it's going to be like you have to get it to Jay Jet and go. This is going to be a little bit more of a choppy game. And I think for him to get 4 receptions here, so to get about 37 yards is super reasonable. Yeah,
the only thing I think that's a great look. The only thing that scares me is just he's been playing like half the snaps basically. So they're kind of working him back. Yeah.
The game before last game, he had 26 routes run. Last week it went down a little bit, which would be concerning, but I think that was
game script,
game script, all that. I'm good.
Yeah,
with
sure.
Yeah.
This one I didn't bet, but I kind of liked it's a great buy low spot on Aaron Jones touchdown. And he hasn't scored since like week 3 or 4. It's been a long time. But he's been getting consistent work. Like, they still love to give him the ball, and the Bears run defense is the way that you beat them. Like you said, their pass defense is awesome, but their run defense is a little weak. They also the Aaron Jones, the reason why I went with touchdown, I know that like rushing yards is something that people are on. Seems like he's been banged up since like week 4. He's got like a rib thing, and then he had a hammy thing, a back. Like, he's still getting work. He hasn't been nearly as efficient recently as he was at the beginning of the year, which is also another thing with like an older running back. You see this all the time where they start off and then eventually the long season kind of gets to them. Yeah. So I kind of like the anytime touchdown better. It's plus 140, which I think is solid for him. And also, like, Sam Darnold's starting the pumpkin, so maybe they just try to give him as little to do as possible, and they just rely on the ground game, especially when they get to the red zone. Again, I didn't actually bet it. I have a lot of bets out for this slate, just not in the first couple games that we've talked about.
Yeah.
So cool. All right.
One more consideration would be DJ Moore on under longest receiving yards. Completion. Didn't take that. It would be about 19.5. It was just based on what I was looking at with them throwing a lot shorter. You got the Vikings with the ball pressure. So like, it's going to be a lot less long routes probably. That would be one look, but yeah, we can move on from this game.
That's not a bad look. He's just kind of, he seems like he hates Caleb Williams. He just seems like he's always pissed off.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Finally game that I do have a bet on. This is taking forever to load, but we're going to the Texans Titans. What do you have in this one?
Nothing in this one. Didn't put anything together for this one. Although, I'm sorry. I did. I put this in this morning. I was thinking about it the whole time, and I couldn't believe I did it. Last week, I hit Nick Westbrook-Akine plus 500 on the tutty. So guess what? I'm not going back to him because he's at plus 370 now. So I'm going to Calvin Ridley. Yeah, I think Calvin Ridley now at plus 275.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That one just got a little bit too much for me. I understand that, like, the lasting taste in our mouths is Calvin Ridley just either not getting the ball thrown anywhere near him because Will Levis sucks, or just not looking like he knows where he's supposed to be on a route. This was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Once they got rid of Nuke, though, and the focal point was there for him. He's had the receptions. I know a lot of people tried to go to him last week. I'm taking him for the tutty this week, mostly just because this is like I said, the price has gone too wishy-washy here. It shouldn't be Westbrook Akine at plus 370 and Calvin Ridley just a plus 100 better than him at this point. You should be getting more than that. So that's really where that comes from. It's kind of a nasty boy look as well, but I believe in a little bit more of what Calvin Ridley's been doing over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and this would be a ripe spot to get in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, Calvin Ridley's been good, like you said, since I got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. So I think that's solid. But I mean, 275 on him is crazy.
Yeah, and the Texans give up the most touchdowns to wide receivers in the league, like 16 of them this year.
You can't run on them. But yeah, you can throw. Yeah, I went right back to Nico Collins. I got burned. I went with him last week and got burned. That stupid touchdown that got called back, but like the first play of the game was the most frustrating thing in the world because it would have just cashed everything. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. But he just gets too much work, man. Like CJ Stroud just loves throwing to Nico Collins, and it's the only thing that he can do. He like Tank Dell's having a down year. Obviously, Diggs is out. Schultz has been super disappointing this year. So the way I played it was I took him 80 plus and I took him 100 plus. The 80 plus I got at plus 105. Looks like now you're getting that at minus 104. So it did move a little bit. I hope you can get a plus price next to that, but you can't. So at this point, I'd probably just take I'd probably just put a unit on 90 plus and not bother going 80 and 100. I would just split the difference. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and put in the sheet is Nico Collins. But it's just a play like Noah Snead's out. So you're not worried about like the best man-on-man cover corner who just like shut down number one wide receiver options. That's not the case anymore. And like the Titans defense, you look at their entire season, they're good. Like somebody commented was like, they're like number one versus wide receivers. That's all because of Snead. If you look at like, he's been out, I think for about a month now. If you look at since then, I don't know the exact numbers, but they're much worse against the wide receiver position. And Nico Collins, like I said, CJ Stroud just loves him. Last week, he only played 47% of the snaps. He would have had over 100 yards if that touchdown doesn't get called back, which it was the correct call. I'm not saying it was a bogus call. He still caught the ball and ran 70 yards and scored. He's hit at least 80 receiving yards in all 4 games before he got hurt. So that takes out last week, obviously, and it takes out the game in which he got hurt, at least 80 yards in all 4. And then 3 of those 4, he had 100. And even if you look at the game in which he did get hurt, he played 13% of the snaps. So he got hurt like on the first drive of the game. He had 78 receiving yards because he had a long bomb touchdown. Like that's just what Nico does. He still leads the NFL in receiving yards per game. He's 8th in targets per route run. He's number 1 in yards per route run. Like I said, I'm not scared off of the Titans defense. I think we are getting a little bit of value because if you look at their season-long stats, they look a lot better than they are. And it's the Texans at home. They have to get this passing offense rolling if they want a chance to make some noise this year. It's been kind of like a weird year. I mean, like Nico's been out and all that stuff, but still. So yeah, I went right back to Nico. I don't hate his touchdown either. Last I checked, that was like plus 120, something like that. Right now, even though plus 140, I think is solid for Nico Collins. Like again, he should have scored last week, but he didn't. And then Mixon had 3 touchdowns. So this is what it is. So yeah, I only actually bet the 90 plus, but I do like the anytime touching as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we just maybe abolish the illegal formation, or can we at least blow the play dead when the illegal formation happens? Can we stop letting the play run out?
It's like false start. Like you let you know what I mean? Like you don't let the play go with a false start. So why do you do it with an illegal formation?
We're only getting mad because we're watching our players get the stats that we need them to get, and then you call it back. It didn't impact the play that much. So
and we know it's not going to count. You know what I mean? It's not like it's stupid. It's stupid.
Figure it out.
Anyways, Lions Colts. You bet anything in this one?
Love Josh Downs. Love Josh Downs. Did you know there's 10 players that have started for the Lions this season that are now on IR?
Their defense or on their defense or
on the defensive side, or that are out for this game. 6 of them are on IR. That's the note that I have here. My bad. 10 of them are out for this, and it's not like the 10 guys that started the season it's just like guys that have come in as backups to start for guys that got hurt are also now out for this week. And you're looking at a pretty banged up defense. So Josh Downs, I got a 56.5. I would play that up to 70 to 60, excuse me. And I would sprinkle on the over 79.5. I haven't yet, but over 79.5 was plus 240. I was finishing up some stuff that really helped me feel better about it before we got on the show. But either way, I still think it's a good look. We're going up against a Lions defense that's banged up. I do still think you're going to have positive game script for the Lions and negative for the Colts in this one. Everyone was a little bit afraid of AR coming back and that impacting Josh Downs, who seemed to have a bromance with Joe Flacco. And I don't think that matters as much. Like, Josh Downs is still your best option. Anywhere from 5 to 50 yards, in my opinion, Josh Downs is your best option at this point. He's gone from just like a low ADOT receptions guy to a guy that gets a bunch of yak. He gets a good amount of air yards as well at this point. Obviously, when Alec Pierce is getting air yards, but that's only from Joe Flacco. So we don't have to worry quite as much about Alec Pierce coming in and vulturing our Josh Downs stuff. This is something he's done super consistently now, only like 3 times that he hasn't gone over this number. And even with AR, I'm super not worried about the Lions' awful pass defense against wide receivers.
Yeah, their pass defense is terrible. I didn't bet it. The play that I was going to say was Anthony Richardson passing yards, just because it's so low. I mean, like, it's like low 200s like 199, 204.5, 203.5, like, depending where you look. I get it. Like, if you look at his game logs, it's gross. He hit it in his first start, and then he didn't hit it in any start up until last week when he came back from getting benched. I don't necessarily know if he's just like, if last week is going to be how he plays the rest of the year. He did look a lot better, but it was only one game. It was against the dead Jets defense. But like, as good as the Lions are, their pass defense, like you said, their pass defense is not good. Their pass funnel is the same thing last year. So I do think that like a lot of passing props are undervalued for the Colts. I do think it probably makes sense if you're going to do it to take downs, because like Pittman's been dead this year. And then like maybe you'll get a bomb play to Adonai Mitchell, who I think is good. He just can't quite figure it out. Or a bomb play to Pierce, as you mentioned. But yeah, the most consistent one is definitely going to be Josh Downs. So I like that. Someone in the chat asking about Jameson Williams.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do with this Lions team. It's like last week, I mean, they were up 50-0 and they still were trying to score. It was like, so I mean, maybe you don't have to worry about. Yeah, maybe you don't have to worry about a blowout for them. It's a low number, and the guy like Jameson can hit this in any game. Yeah. Like last week, this logic would not have worked out, but I like to target Jameson in a game where he thinks going to be a shootout, and I don't necessarily know if the Colts are going to be able to keep up. So I probably would hold off, but yeah, like that would have been incorrect last week. You know what I mean? So
right. So, yeah. And I think also shout out Amon-Ra leading the game in yards last week, and it looked iffy for a while. Then he was like, "Nah, you guys are done with your 50-yard receptions. I'm going to get a 50-yard reception." But that's why I do actually like Jameson this week, is because if you look at the Colts' big plays that they allow, they are bottom 5 in plays of 16+ yards. I don't know why that was a stat that came up 16+ yards. Because this was actually a stat that was recorded. I forget the site that I started using. That's actually pretty good. I could see it not being free pretty soon. I'll let you know. It's a really good one because it shows you like yards, explosive plays. It shows you things like how many minutes the team has spent trailing this season and what they do in neutral game scripts. So it's a really good one. But the 16+ yards, they're in the bottom 5, giving up the most of those. And Jameson Williams is a dude that, like, yeah, you give him an ounce of space, the yak is about to go through the roof. So I think he's probably going to get his longest reception, and a touchdown for him was like plus 220. That was something I consider a sprinkle on as well.
Yeah, touchdown 260 now. FanDuel always does this, like an hour or 2 hours before kickoff. They nuke all their odds so they can brag about having the best price. It's like, if all of these props have given out, it's either been Bet365 or FanDuel.
Yeah, they'd be doing that.
Yeah. All right. Next game. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, they're getting all the action, and a lot of people are morons, so they'll win more often. They'll get money more often than not.
Never underestimate how many stupid people are on this planet.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Patriots Dolphins. Do you have anything in this one?
Oh boy, gross. No, I do not have anything in this game. Please don't make me.
Perfect. I got a ladder for you. So yeah, the games that you hate, I have the best. Give me Hunter Henry receptions ladder. I took him over 4.5. That you actually can get a better price. I got that at plus 100. Now you can get that at plus 105. I took him 6+ at plus 215. You can now get plus 225. And I took 7+ at plus 425. You can now get plus 450. So you can get a way better. You can get better price on all three. I'm not scared off. I mean, Hunter Henry, like, I get that this has a lot to do with just being like the healthiest guy all year, but he's run the most routes as a tight end this year. He's been really good with Drake May. Like, if you look at his target rate, the first 5 games, and was Jacoby Brissett, the last 5 games when it's Drake May, target rate would be the 5th highest among all tight ends if you just extrapolated that out. 19.8% target rate. Like, that's not going to be up there with the alpha wide receivers, of course. Like, you're looking at like a Justin Jefferson's in the 30s. But in the last 5 games, which is every game started by Drake May, target rate 19.8%, again, 5th highest. In those 5 games, he's gotten at least 5 receptions to cash out the first leg of the ladder in 3 of those 5. And then where are my notes? And then let's see, he's got 5 receptions, and then on 8, sorry, all right, we're going to start over. He's got 5 receptions.
I know what you're trying to say, by the way, so it's not too wish-wash, but go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes you start a sentence and then your brain is like, that's not the right one. Anyways, he's got at least 5 receptions in 3 of the last 5 games. And in those 3 games in which he got at least 5, he had 8, 7, and 6. So actually all 3, he would have cashed the second leg of the ladder. And in 2 of those 3, he would have cashed the full ladder going up to 7. More importantly is his target rate of 8, 9, and 8, or 9, 8, and 9 targets in those 3 games. That's pretty good target volume, especially for a tight end. And then you look at the matchup for the Dolphins. Since week 3, they've allowed the 2nd most receptions to the tight end position. The Dolphins are a defense where they keep everything in front of them. So I would guess if you look at that explosive play rate, the Dolphins are on the lower end of that, because they allow the 6th highest average depth of target, the 6th lowest ADOT. But again, 2nd most receptions to tight ends since week 3. So they're like a receptions, not a yards type of team, which is why that's where I ended up going with. So yeah, I like I said, I climbed the full ladder on Hunter Henry. I'm putting it in the sheet now just so people kind of know what to take it at and how I did it. You can get a little bit of a better price on all 3, which is always a little bit scary, but it's not dramatic enough to completely scare me off.
Yep.
All right, next up, Bucks versus Giants. You have anything in this one?
Yeah, I still didn't bet it. Because it's back and forth between the running backs, and I want to take one of them for the tutty, and I want it to be Rachaad White. I actually was seeing that Rachaad White was doing a little bit better than Bucky inside the goal to go situations. Is really what it was. He got 100% of the goal to go situation rushes last week, which was 2, but it was more than Bucky Irving. So I mean, look, Bucky Irving's a better runner. I don't think that's in question. But if he's going to get the touches with White is going to get the touches inside the 10, not even the red zone, but the 10. That's been the case the last 2 to 3 weeks. When you look at the split there, I just didn't trust it enough. I just don't know if there's what's going on behind the curtain. And we could even get the dude whose name I don't even bother remembering.
Sean Tucker.
Yeah. I only know Sean. I want to call him Sean Vay, which is weird. It's not even McVay. I just want to call him Sean Vay. I don't know why, but either way, yeah. Sean, I already just forgot his name again. Sean Tucker. Jesus. But he hasn't really been getting involved as much. But yeah, between the 2 guys, I didn't know where to go. So that would have been the only one that I probably would have liked.
In terms of the receiving yards, so I have one play that I actually locked in, and then a lot of people have questions about what to do in this one. The play that I actually locked in was Theo Johnson. I took him over 21.5 receiving yards. It's a beautiful, nasty boy. But if you look at how recently, and this is all with Daniel Jones, so take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, the target rate, all that stuff could be different with Tommy Cutlets. But last 6 weeks or so, he's gone over the 21.5 number in 5 of those 6 games. And he's actually reached at least 30 yards in all 5 games in which he went over. So if you want to take this as a ladder play up to 30, I don't think that's a terrible idea. Plus 160 for that. If you want to go crazy, go up to 40 at plus 300. But the snap rate is really the most exciting thing. You look at the last 5 games, 85% of the snaps in all 5, 90% in 3 of them. And he's running routes at a 71.7% rate. That's the 11th most. It's the 11th highest route rate. It's a lot of R's since week 6, which I get 11th highest isn't going to rustle your jimmies, but also keep in mind that it's 21.5 receiving yards. 11th highest is perfectly fine with that. And the Bucs defense allows a ton of production to the tight end position. Since week 2, they've allowed the most receiving yards in the NFL to tight ends on the 4th most receptions. So a little bit of a higher average yards per reception than on average for the Bucs. And what I liked even more than that is the fact that Theo Johnson seems to be the second best receiver on the Giants facing zone coverage. And the Bucs play zone at the highest rate in the NFL. And Theo Johnson has on the entire season, since week 6, since he's kind of started his ascent, he has the 2nd best yards per route run on the Giants, only behind Malik Neighbors. So yards per route run better than, not that Wan'Dale Robinson's doing anything yards wise, but better than him, better than Slayton, better than any of those guys. And his yards per route run number would be the 11th best among all tight ends on the entire season. So again, 11th best sounds a lot better when your over-under is 21.5 receiving yards. And then Tommy Cutlett's like, for me, like backup quarterbacks, if you're not Jameis Winston, generally I always like targeting running backs and tight ends because closer to the line of scrimmage, you just play a little bit safer, which is why I'm not scared off the fact that it's Danny DeVito instead of Daniel Jones. But I mean, I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty, so I'm curious to get your opinion. You kind of already mentioned the running backs, but like between Slayton on the Giants and then McMillan and Evans on the Bucs, was there anything you looked at in the passing game?
Slayton still. They have Sterling Shepard. I was like, wait, is Slayton the one that's still on the Bucs or the Giants? No, Sterling Shepard's the former Giant that was on the Bucs. My bad.
So I was like, wait, revenge game? Is that what you're saying? Revenge game?
No, I'm definitely not. I don't know what he would have revenge for. He sucked. But
he kept getting hurt.
He was so good at Oklahoma. For all these dudes, I just put Mike Evans back in my starting lineup for fantasy. And I might not. I don't know because Javonte Williams might have a good. Anyway, Slayton, McMillan, Irving, yards or Evans. I mean, for yards, I don't know if Evans is going to be out there for every snap. He just recently was like a good to go kind of thing.
Right.
I think they've probably known that he was going to be playing in this game and they've been targeting him. But it's a hamstring. Like you can't do anything with a hamstring except for just let it heal. So it's not like they can give him something to guarantee he doesn't pull that thing again. So I don't feel comfortable with Evans is the thing. If you're looking at Slayton or McMillan, I mean, Slayton's been overall way more trustworthy when they actually target him. So once again, the reason I didn't bet on Irving or Rachaad White is I don't know what the usage is going to be anymore with this team. If Mike Evans wasn't coming back off a hammy, obviously he's an easy answer. And I still think they'll probably force targets to him. But like, if you watch him and he comes out hobbled, I would it's nothing for me. So like, I have nothing for him.
Yeah. Evans, I personally wouldn't touch the yards just because it reminds me of what it's going to be like with Nico last week, where he's going to play 47% of the snaps.
Right.
He'll be targeted when he's in there, but 47% just lowers your ceiling, especially against the Giants. Like, why would you rush him back against the Giants? Like, I know the Bucs need a win, but this Giants team is dead. They're dead in the water. So if I were playing Evans, it would be touchdown. And McMillan's been banged up. Slayton, it's too much nastiness for me. I
apologize before you move on. I put this bet out on fucking Wednesday. That's why I totally forgot about it. Baker Mayfield rushing yards is still a good look for me. It was okay. I got it 13.5. It actually went down to 12.5. So I was able to tell the VIP Discord about the 12.5 too. But hell, I would take over 10. I think it's a good rushing game for him. This is the team. The Giants give up the second most rushing yards to quarterbacks in the league. I watch the Giants games. I'm a Giants fan. It's not fun, but I actually like watching them lose now because I'm down for a first overall pick. But the thing about the defense is the only thing it does well is rush the quarterback, and it only does that well through the middle. To be honest, they run a lot of like trail, so you get sexy Dexter Lawrence just taking two dudes with him down the field, and then you've got Brian Burns and company just sort of running behind him in the holes and not really rushing to the outside, and so you see the inside rush be way more effective. That's a big reason why quarterbacks are able to get to the outside and run, which is where Baker obviously wants to run as well. And before the game against the 49ers last week, Baker had 5 out of 6 straight games going over. One of those obviously went under, but in the other 5, we're talking about 4.5 rush attempts per game for him, 22.5 yards. So I think he's still going to be able to get that kind of stuff. I think he's good for 15 rush yards in this one. That's what I would play this up to.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. I like that.
Getting that entirely.
No, you're good. All right. Cowboys Commanders, another beautiful game. Do you have anything in this one?
I really want to target both McLaurin and Brian Robinson Jr. I think Brian Robinson Jr. is going to be a super popular play today. The TD is nuked. I think the rushing yards, even at like 70 rushing yards, isn't bad. Eckler's healthy, though. I could see this being a blowout. I don't know why, if you're the Commanders, you wouldn't take advantage of that. Only thing is Jaden Daniels is still a little bit banged up, and I'm sure that they don't want to have to like run him too much since they're a freaking playoff team. So I do think Brian Robinson Jr. will be getting a ton of carries. Once again, don't trust the splits with that backfield quite as much with him coming back from injury over the last couple of weeks as well. McLaurin would be a nice bounce back spot for him. Those were the two strong leans that I didn't end up playing yet.
Yeah, I like the look on Robinson in general. I just like they don't really play him a lot of snaps. Like he basically maxes out at a 50% snap rate. When he's healthy, whether he's not healthy. So like if you look at his game, like his like on props.cash or whatever, he doesn't have a lot of ceiling games. It's like really good consistency, but he doesn't have a lot of ceiling. And like maybe in this disgusting matchup against a terrible Cowboys defense, maybe he like just gets there on volume, because he's not a super efficient guy. He's kind of the guy that gets you what's there. But like this year, he has only gone over this number twice. 133 against the Giants, so like there's an argument for like him doing it in a bad matchup, and 101 against the Cardinals, kind of the same thing. Like they blew the Cardinals out in the water, like from the jump in that game. So there is some logic to it, but more like you're seeing 56% snap rate, 60, 62, 47, last week 53. And like they didn't start losing that game until the fourth quarter. So like a 53% snap rate when they were winning most of the time.
Yeah.
You expect that to be higher. So I like the touchdown better. It's minus 138. So like it's just a high hell. And I like the look on Brian Robinson. I just worry that he's going to have 15 carries for like 65 yards. And then they're going to give Eckler, like I almost went Austin Eckler rushing yards in this one, because it's a way, way lower number. And he's getting like a decent amount of work. I ended up betting it. The play that I went, or no, go ahead.
Especially the quarterback too, right? They actually do get pressure on the quarterback.
Well, now that they have Parsons back, like they did a decent job. I mean, like the game last week, it was close until the fumble return for a touchdown. You know what I mean? Like that kind of just blew it open, and you look at the final score and you think that they're terrible. But yeah, they weren't quite dead. I went with Luke Schoonmaker over 3.5 receptions. First of all, his name is very fun to say, and the Schoon Man. And second of all, it's a tiny sample size because Ferguson's been healthy basically this entire year. There have been 2 games in which Ferguson wasn't healthy. In those 2 games, the Schoon Man had 6 targets and 10 targets, and he had 6 receptions in both of those games. Like that's the only sample size we have. 2 games, in those games, literally 6 receptions in each. One was with Dak, one was last week with Cooper Rush. And it's the same thing that I talked about with Tommy Cutlets and Theo Johnson. Like the logic of a backup quarterback coming in and targeting the tight end is like logic that is very sound to me. We'll talk about that in another game. So 4 receptions for the Schoon Man. He's going to get 6 targets probably. They're going to be losing most of the game probably. And Cooper Rush is just going to dump it off to him. So, I mean, last week I had Rico Dowdle receptions, and if that man could catch, he would have catched it in the first half, but he dropped like 3 passes in a row and at the end of the first half, and then he got benched. So I am absolutely not putting another prop on him, which means that he probably will cash. Yeah. But yeah, I think the Schoon Man.
Dowdle, it's like I want to do the Office Space. What would you say you do?
I know.
What's your job that you accomplish?
And like the thing is, he had been good. That's the frustrating part.
I know.
For the Cowboys, and then he just decided that he's like, I'm just gonna not catch anymore.
Yeah, I got real lucky that he got benched because everybody was coming at me for the 12.5 rush attempts under that I said for him, and he had like 8 at the half, and he ended with 12 because he got benched. And I get to talk shit though. So like, screw all you guys who talk crap to me.
Yeah, that sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah, I love this. I love this so much. First of all, Schoon Man. Small sample size for Schoon Man, but man, I think this is a nice play, and I love that we get to say Schoon Man moving forward.
It's very fun. I'm just walking around the house going Schoon Man.
Exactly. Hopefully, everybody here knows Audio Slave.
Yeah. Yeah. Audio. Yeah, exactly.
No, I was remember the one before that. Whatever.
Anyways, Broncos Raiders, another fantastic game. What do you have here?
I didn't play anything in this one. I would consider the passing stuff for the Broncos. I don't know what Sean Payton's going to do. I didn't bet on Audric Estimate last week, which everybody did, and they got screwed because Sean Payton's been saying that Estimate is going to get time, and then he just keeps putting Javonte Williams out there. So I wanted to play Javonte Williams, but yeah, I actually think this might be the only play that I would really consider. It's either Sutton or it's Nix in the pass game from Crank Zone. So yeah, I think that's the best play of this game, but I still haven't bet that.
Yeah, I didn't bet it. I like Abdullah receptions, 4+. Madison's out. Zamir White is doubtful. The Broncos give up a ton of receiving work to the running back. It's because of how aggressive their blitz packages are. So a lot of times the outlet is just to dump it off. Gardner Minshew is more than happy to dump it off either to the running back or to Brock Bowers. Bowers is incredible. It could just be Brock Bowers. Had like 13 receptions last week or whatever it was. But I liked Amir Abdullah better because like you're not going to run the ball with him. Like, you know what I mean? That's not his game. If anything, it'd be the other guy, Laube. But last time I checked, we didn't even have props for him yet because the books don't even know how to price him. but it's the stupid thing. Like, I don't know if it's OddsJam or if it's my computer. It's just going really slow. But yeah, it would be like, I'm not betting it. It'd be a Ameer Abdullah reception if I were. Let's just see if we have the Laube.
What is a Laube?
You don't know who that is? It's the guy. It's going to be him and Abdullah. Those are the running back. It's going to be those.
He's a running back in the NFL. Wow.
Yeah,
that's on me.
Yes,
I have been scraping the barrel of the Raiders depth chart looking for backup running backs. That's my bad.
Yeah, we don't even freaking have we have DJ Turner rushing yards, but we can't even get Dylan Laube. I mean, come on, have some respect. All right, we can move on from this game.
This is disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross. A game that would have been good, but freaking Brock Purdy had to have a hurt shoulder. Did you have anything in this one? 49ers Packers?
No, I couldn't get anything for this one, mostly because of the thing. The one that I'm so close to playing, I will say, I'm still feel like I'm sitting on the cusp of it, is actually Christian McCaffrey under rushing yards at 73.5.
High number.
It's a high number.
You can get 80.5 now.
It's 80.5. It's gone up.
Yeah.
So
this went up after Purdy went out because they're just like, okay, let's run more. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, makes sense. I don't think he looks good yet. I didn't think he had it last week. I was talking to, I had on my show on Friday, a guy who covers the 49ers, Dieter, and Dieter was bringing up some really good points, having gone to all these practices and stuff. And he was the one that led me to the under for Christian, saying, like, the whole point of the 49ers run game is stretch outside zone, and then one cut up field from the running back, right? It's sideways, upfield when you find any kind of hole. And that's what Christian does really, really well. That's what both he and Jordan Mason have gotten the bulk of their yards on, is yards outside the numbers, not inside. And so if you can't do that, if you can't cut, because your whole bottom half of your leg is sort of tattered right now and being cobbled back together, it's going to be tough. So I'm going to continue to buy into him not even getting the necessary rush attempts to do that. I wouldn't stay away from anything receiving. I mean, their receiving core is so in shambles that, like, Jawan Jennings looks like Terrell Owens at this point because Debo can't get involved at all. And even their like rookie receivers and second-year receivers that they had going for a few plays in a few games, they're also hurt. So I think he'll be a lot more involved in the receiving game, but I would not be the least bit surprised to see him have like a 60% opportunity share on the run game. And so that's why I think 80.5 is enough for me to go under at this point. That's what it's at. I didn't see it rise that much. So
yeah. And that's a huge difference between FanDuel and every other book, which that always makes me a little bit nervous, but you never know. So I took George Kittle receiving yards before Purdy got ruled out. I'm still going to take it. It's exactly what I've talked about before. And it's just so low. Like, it was 45.5, 47.5. Now it went down to 38.5, 39.5. I think that's a little too far. He just gets so much work, and it's the same thing. Like, it's a backup quarterback. Like maybe it's a receptions thing for Kittle. Because the reason why he went with yards is because he's an ADOT guy with Brock Purdy. Like, George Kittle has the best yards per route, or best yards per route run and the best yards per target of all tight ends. He also has the second most receiving yards of all tight ends in the NFL. He's hit this over-under in both games this year that Brandon Ayuk missed. I mean, the no Purdy makes it like everything just a complete shot in the dark. Like, as Brandon Allen apparently can't throw downfield. I'll be honest, I don't know the scouting report on Brandon Allen, so this very well could be right. You just hope that they're just gonna try and scheme some stuff open for George Kittle, and that Brandon Allen can at least he's not gonna be as good as Brock Purdy, but like, what were we saying about Brock Purdy before he came in? Like, that he was just a schmuck. So maybe Brandon Allen could just run the offense. That's the most important thing. Like, a lot of stuff is just scripted for them. Yeah. So if he could just run the script, maybe he'll be fine. I still like Kittle. Like, call me stubborn, but I still think it's a good look at 38.5. I still would take it at 50 plus, which is like, I mean, I got it at plus 105. Obviously, that's a terrible price knowing what we know now, but like plus 165 for Kittle to get to 50 yards, even with backup quarterback, I think is solid. But as of right now, it would just be the 38.5.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. I mean, this is going too low, and I mean, if you're a backup quarterback, who do you feel most comfortable throwing to? Yes, Brandon Allen, you really can't throw downfield. I don't think it's really necessarily lack of throwing of arm strength, to be honest. I mean, he's just been bad on bad teams and just been filling in for the Commanders and the Raiders and wherever else he's been just as a spot starter. But when you're in Kyle Shanahan's offense, like, I think the first 20 freaking plays are going to be scripted. He might be a look for like over in the first quarter for Brandon Allen too, and his passing yards. Like, if he's actually more successful when they have those plays scripted for him, I think that's a look. But I'm not scared of taking George Kittle just because of Brandon Allen. I might be telling you on that now that it's at 38.
I guess I don't have any odds out for first quarter passing props. I kind of like that. Like it's like the scripted plays thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, Cardinals, Seahawks. Do you have anything in this one?
Cardinals and the Seahawks. I do really love Jackson Smith and Jigba today. I think JSN has clearly surpassed. I got him 56.5 receiving yards. I think he's surpassed. I know he has surpassed Lockett.
Definitely Lockett.
Option. Yeah, definitely Lockett. I'm not trying to make him the number one option, but I will say when DK was out, like he was incredible. So I'm not going to poo-poo that, but yeah, with DK likely in there, so I still think 55.5 is good for him. If you look at the way that he's going to be going up against Arizona, like I think Arizona's a little bit overrated right now. They've had some good weeks against Aaron Rodgers, formerly of the New York Jets, I think we can almost say, and the Chicago Bears as well, who are, there's a reason they don't have their offensive coordinator there anymore. So I'm not too excited about the Arizona defense just because they had 2 good weeks against bad offenses, bad passing games. The last 3 he's at 120 yards a game, man. He's at 30. He's at more than 10 targets per game in the last 3. And I know that Debo wasn't out there for one of them, but he was out there for 2 of them. And he was hobbled, and we'll see if he still is. I don't care though. I think he's just become that much of a favorite target of Geno Smith, and his ADOT is finally legit. Whereas last year it was like a screen pass average. It's now actually a legit like 9 to 10 yard ADOT that you can rely on for JSN to get some yards.
Yeah, and Shane Waldron, the Wicked Witch, is gone. So finally, I didn't bet this game. It would be rushing yards for James Conner just because he's so consistent. He gets so much work. The Seahawks run defense is generally pretty bad. I know they made a move at defensive tackle or a guy came back healthy that has people excited, but their numbers suggest they've been bad. I mean, they did decently against the 49ers last week, but I didn't bet it. So we can move on to Sunday Night Football. Talking about the Eagles, which means obviously I got to put on my big hat talking about the Eagles. What do you have in this one?
Oh, man. I kind of want to go Jalen Hurts under passing yards because I think they'll be running a lot in this game. What do you think, man? How are you going to ask me to start when you're wearing that beautiful thing on your head? Well, you have to start. Like, this is your
we always go Josh first. All right. Well, so I have 2 bets that I locked in this one. Number one, so these odds have gotten nuked. I took Dallas Goedert. I got him over 43.5 receiving yards. It's a ridiculously low number for Dallas Goedert, who has been good in the games in which they're missing one of Devontae Smith or AJ Brown. Granted, that's been 3 games this year, so it's not a big sample size, but in those 3 games, he hit the over 45.5. He hit the over 48.5 in 2 of those 3 games. He averaged 90. Now, one of them was like a 170-yard game, which obviously is going to really, really take up his average, but consistently targeted when one of those guys is out. The Rams defense is weak to the tight end position. Like I need to pull up my notes in front of me. If they're allowing, the Rams are I think it was 3rd most receiving yards to tight ends since a certain time frame. I forgot. My notes are in a different document, which is why I'm scrambling. But the Rams are weak to the tight end position. And like I said, Dallas Goedert just gets more work when one of those receivers is out. I got to go nasty. Grant Calcaterra over 5.5 receiving yards is ridiculously low. It's going to take 1 reception for him to hit this. In the games in which Dallas Goedert or Devontae Smith were out, so it's 5 games, and that's including the game where Dallas Goedert initially got hurt. So the over-under is 5.5. He's gotten at least 20 receiving yards in 4 of the 5 games in which either Goedert or Devontae Smith was out. He's not a blocker. He's basically a wide receiver playing tight end, so they're not going to have him block. So if it's not Goedert, they'll probably have Calcaterra go out running routes, and they dial some things up for him in the receiving game. So like 5.5 is crazy. And then I also took 20 plus as well, because like that's a number, like I said, they hit in 4 or 5 games without one of Devontae Smith or Dallas Goedert. So I get it. It's a little bit different with Goedert out and Devontae Smith in, which I understand. But even in that one game that Devontae Smith missed, he hit this over. So I like to look on Calcaterra. Their Eagles are going to have to do something. Like the Rams passing defense is weak. They get a lot of pressure, which Jalen Hurts isn't always good against pressure. So like if there is the one weakness, like that's how they can stop them. But like they got carved up by Drake May and a much worse supporting cast last week. So the Eagles should be able to move the ball through the air. I know that kind of goes exactly against what you said. And I get your logic of they're just going to run it. Like, why bother passing it? I just think they're going to, like, I really like the Rams offense. So I don't think the Eagles will be able to just run the ball the entire game.
That's fair. If you so that's where I went. Be able to score on the Eagles, then yeah, that makes total sense. I didn't even bet the under on his passing yards, but my God, you have way more information on this team than I do anyway. So I respect the hell out of how much you know about Grant Calcaterra, for instance. Like that's a really good find. That's brilliant little nasty boy stuff, but it's good. Like I like the logic there. So
it's very nasty. Yeah, I mean, if you don't know Grant Calcaterra, almost positive he went to Coastal Carolina, then just get out of here because you clearly don't know ball if you don't know.
Powerhouse Coastal Carolina. That's on me for not knowing that.
Yeah, exactly. So cool. All right, that is all the games. Is there anything like parlays, anything else that you had for today that you wanted to mention?
No, I didn't put together any parlays for the day. I'm just trying to look at the card one more time, make sure I didn't forget anything. I did. I'm sorry. I forgot.
Wow.
God damn, dude. It's because I'm putting it on too many different shows. I should just be looking at my own card instead of everything else. Can I just throw a couple at you right then?
Yeah, please.
Because I put some tutty plays in too. I put in Tyrone Tracy for a tutty, plus 165. Protect Tommy Cutlets, my boy. I do think he gets in. I think he could get in with a receiving touchdown. I think Tommy's going to be better than we think today, too. Like, the magic of Tommy, Danny, Cutlets, DeVito. Like, do not underestimate. Not excited to have his manager back in my life and his fedoras, but, like, I still love Tommy. The other tutty would be Trey McBride. This is what I like because last week I gave out. Yeah. What's that?
I like it. T. McBee.
Yeah, T. McBee, yeah. He plus 210 was the number I got. I'm putting half a unit on all these tutty plays. Yeah. For Trey, he has not scored this season.
He has a rushing touchdown and a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Thank you. Excuse me. He has hit the pay dirt. He has not caught a ball and walked into the pay dirt or caught it into the end zone. But yet he leads the Cardinals in targets. He leads them in red zone targets. He leads them in end zone targets when he's actually standing in the end zone. And he's had 2 called back on a top of somehow getting in the end zone on other random plays. So yeah, I think it's a due situation. I like you can say someone's due and call that like silly logic, and I understand, but it's not just that it's due. It's not like he hasn't done it, so he should this time. It's like he's come so freaking close. The volume is there, everything is there. It just hasn't happened yet. So I'm going to continue to bank on it happening because we're getting good value for what the value should be on it, right? That's disappointing, but that's fine. I understand if it doesn't come.
Well, we're not talking about the Eagles game anymore, so I know I just look like a fool.
Yeah, you look great. So I love him in this situation for the tutty. Not really even concerned about the matchup. Really just looking at the usage and all that for him. And the other one was Tyrone Tracy and Trey McBride. I don't believe I gave those 2 out. And I think I gave out Huge, but I'm now realizing maybe I didn't. But maybe that's
that's Monday. That's Monday night.
Right, that's Monday. Yeah. So I'll just give that out for anybody since I won't be on for the Monday night stuff. I do like Huge in this situation at 47.5 receiving yards. I think the touchdown is still a good look for him. He's a big end zone target, so that's one for me for tomorrow night.
I like it. Yeah, I like Huge. Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, to comment on your thing about like being due. It's not like, oh, he's due. It's for me. I don't say due. I say positive regression because that way it makes a lot. It's like people. It's a lot less of like just like a stupid phrasing of like, oh, this guy's due to blow up. It's like, no, there's like positive. Like I use it a lot. I mean, like someone's gotten a bunch of targets, no receptions. Someone's gotten a bunch of receptions, no yards. It's like a shooter that's like shot poorly the past 2, like stuff. It's stuff like that where it's like, no, like the numbers. It's not like I'm taking a 3-point shooter who's shot 2 attempts to make 4. You know what I mean? It's like he's taking 12, whatever. It's like, so it's positive regression, I think is the vernacular for people to understand that's
better diction.
Yeah. All right. We got 11 minutes before noon. Is there any NBA that you looked at for today? Just curious.
Oh man, I didn't have a chance to get into too much today because I was busy last night and this morning finalizing NFL. So I don't have a look yet for the NBA. That's actually what I'm going to do once we're done here. Let me pull up the what I was going to look at anyway with that and see off top. Because I also obviously always need to know about the injuries. Oh God, I cannot tell you how much I don't want to touch a 12 p.m. game between the Timberwolves and the Celtics. Did you hear the story about Lou Will when he was playing in the fourth quarter of a game, or he was drunk?
Yeah, Doc made him sweat out all the alcohol.
Dude, I'm not trying to mess with guys starting a game at 12 p.m. local time or whatever it is. Like, that's insane. So, yeah, nothing there. But I'll be taking a look at some of this.
I think it'll be 3 p.m. local time if that makes you feel.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Because the game's in Boston, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 3:30. Yep. Yeah, that could be doable. No, I got to look at it look at the slate as a whole and see who's in and out before I kind of get into this stuff too much. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I put out 3. Someone was asking like I didn't look at. I looked for about like a little bit and I got out 3. Someone was asking about where the NBA plays are. I posted them on Twitter, so just check out my Twitter. I can to help your research fodder. I took Anthony. So this was I admit a little bit risky, but I didn't want to go PR. I took separately. I took his points and his rebounds because they're both plus money. So I was like, if he hits one of them and not the other, then at least I'll still be profitable. And like the PR, I've had so many times where I'm getting hooked on the PR where one of them cashes, and I can't let myself go through that type of pain again. We're finally on a roll in the NBA, so nice. I figured why not. And then the other one was Miles Turner points. Those are the 3 that I locked in. So yeah, I posted all.
Edwards? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was Anthony Edwards points and rebounds, not together, but separately, like not PR. Yeah. And then it was Miles Turner points. So just to help your research process, I put in for people that are curious. I mean, they all go out to my Dub Club, but they're posted on Twitter because I'm not doing an NBA video today, so they're all on Twitter. Nice. So if you're interested, you can check that out. But cool. All right. Well, anyways, I guess we're live on both our channels, so we don't need to worry about people know where to find us because they're probably watching us on our channels. That's a good point. If not, I'm at Jedi Modi. You're at JL Boogie on Twitter. Lanyard Bets on YouTube. Sure. Any other plugs that you have?
No, just I just gave away 3 1-month VIP subscriptions to some folks for a couple of sweeps. We've been pretty hot in the NBA, so continuing on. Had I should say hot. We had one bad day on Friday, so we're back.
You had a bad day? That's ridiculous, dude.
I know. I get so like insecure when I see other people like up like 45 units like 2 weeks into the season.
Prop bomb.
Yeah, like Prop Bomb and Daft, and I'm just like, you know what? Let me go hide in a corner and just do this by myself and not look at how good you guys are right now. But either way, we'll keep going. Maybe have you back this week on for the live show. I know a lot of people enjoyed that as we went through stuff, so I'll appreciate having you on there.
Cool. Yeah, well, everybody follow us if you're not already. Josh, appreciate you for hopping on. Everybody, let's all bet responsibly. Let's all win our bets tonight. And I don't know if we'll see if we're doing this next week. Let's see each other's schedules. But yeah, either way, we'll talk to you guys later.
Bet.